Up, 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 up. All right. Oh, excuse me on that. And hello and welcome to anyone watching this, whether past, present, or future. And welcome to another installment of Building Pokemon for D&D. Where tonight, yes, we're going to be making Gardevoir. A local fan favorite. By local, I mean many people. For some reason, I don't quite get it. But, yeah, so why don't we just get some of the miscellaneous things out of the way, like Magic Pan and miscellaneous loading screen, and open up the interwebs. And, oh, Giovanni, hi, how are you? I hope you're having a nice day. Hope the kid is doing well. But we're going to have to go on to Gardevoir over here. So, yeah, Gardevoir is a very popular Pokemon. Gardevoir has been so popular that for 2 weeks in a row, Gardevoir has surprisingly been caught up in ties. I wasn't so surprised with the Gardevoir and Jiggly tie from last week, but this week I was genuinely surprised that Gardevoir had to fight off against Murkrow? Which gives me some hope about the people wanting to vote for Murkrow next week. Really appreciating that. But yeah, it turns out Gardevoir just made it through and won the poll after 2 very intense weeks for them. So I'm gonna give him a little clip, clap, clip. Alright. So first off, why don't we just go simply into the goals here. Now, Gardevoir on the Pokedex entries has a few consistent things that are brought up. A thing I kind of learned is that oftentimes, especially after Gen 3, it's pretty common for a lot of Pokemon to just sort of have like a lot of repeat entries or a lot of entries that are just sort of reworded but generally go over same flavor. The main things that we have to do is we have to see into the future a bit. That's the thing. Gardevoir can just see into the future. Like, future sight aside, that's like a thing that Gardevoir can do. We have to heal and protect others because we're a ride or die Pokemon. We're here to protect our best friends and keep them alive. And Gardevoir, actually around Gen 5, starts learning a lot of healing moves for other people, which I think is kind of cool. You don't have a lot of Pokemon that have like stuff like Heal Pulse in the game, or Wish. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a cool thing. We haven't really had a healer in this series yet. It's probably one of our best chance to do it. We also need to make a black hole. Because it states in several Pokedex entries that Gardevoir can just kind of do that if she wants. Just kind of bend reality to make just like a teensy-wincy little void marble. But you know how it is. That's just how it goes in the rock and roll show. Alright. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go on in. Now, I've thought a little bit of what we could do with our race here. Now, first off, I think something we need to mention is that Gardevoir is not only Psychic type, but after Gen 6 became part Fairy. So, I thought about it over the time, over like the last few days. That I know, like, okay, Gardevoir, like things I think about is like, all right, what kind of race would fit the vibes of Gardevoir, like not only flavor wise, but also maybe mechanically. For one, Gardevoir after Gen 6 is now Psychic Fairy. And there's quite a few Fae adjacent races in D&D. You've got fairies that are introduced in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, a whole module about Fae. You got gnomes, which don't quite fit, but elves are the classic. Elves are everywhere. There's so many elves in D&D. And it fits very well with us being very graceful. Like we've had experience of being a ballerina as Curlia. We know a thing or two about being graceful. We've even got pointy ears. We're Fae. We descend from Fae. I think it makes sense for us to be an elf. Now, as an elf, right away we're gonna get a +2 dex, which is never a bad stat to have, because that will always help with dodging a lot of spell effects, and also just help your AC. We're gonna have a simple 30-foot move speed. We're gonna get dark vision like the majority of D&D races, but we could be a chat about it. We're gonna have Fey ancestry, which means we're gonna have a resistance against being charmed, and we can't be magically put to sleep. No magic sleepy. We're not tired yet, we never will be. Yeah, because, really this is good for, it's probably a trait you'll probably forget about, but always, if you're ever playing an elf, remember you have Fey ancestry, especially when you have someone doing a charm person or really most enchantment spells, just know you should have advantage on it. I say that because I feel like, in retrospect, I've seen a lot of Fey people playing elves, and completely forget about it. I think even half-elves have this feature and forget about it a lot. So, keep that in mind. If you ever play an elf or a Gardevoir, consider. I'm just gonna move Gardevoir a bit so I can get the next bullet point. Alright, Gardevoir, you can go back in. Let's see. We can also trance. So, what trance essentially does is, instead of needing 8 hours to be unconscious and have all our vital organs exposed, Gardevoir here can just meditate for like 4 hours to essentially get the sleep part of a rest. Yeah, basically, you'd still need to use the other 4 hours for normal resting. However, this could provide you a way to not worry about everyone being asleep, and provide you extra chances for watches while you're sort of hanging around in camp and not wanting to get ambushed by bandits. It's a small thing, but trust me, when you have an elf or two in your party, it really changes up how just a quality of life of camping goes in D&D. So we're gonna get trance. No sleep. Only cool meditation. Alright. We also gonna get proficiency in perception, a great skill to always have. That's basically gonna give you a bit more of a keen outlook on anything coming your way, especially if you're gonna be the watch. Automatically 20 charisma. I will say, I don't think I'm gonna invest as much in charisma for this build. But I appreciate the funny. How you doing, Socks? Alright, so, yeah, we also get to know Elf Speak. Elf Talkie. Elf Speak. Just woke up. Dude, imagine waking up and feeling rested. It's a rare occurrence. So, for what I'm thinking here, is because I feel like as we're part psychic as well, we're gonna need that intelligence, so we can channel our psychic powers smarter, and also, have just a little bit of magic around us. So we're gonna pick the High Elf. The High Elf is basically, just what you think of when you think of just a standard elf. Like, this is your Lord of the Rings elves that are out there going, we could solve all the world's problems. but how about we don't? And just, you know, talk amongst ourselves. That's the high elves. So, yeah, as such, we're gonna get a +1 to intelligence. We are also gonna get a free cantrip from the wizard spell list. Why don't we take a look at that? I generally did not think about this part. Let's see. You know, why don't we go for Mage Hand for the idea of, like, being, just a psychic? Yeah, it's Gardevoir night, baby! Alright, since I see that there's more people coming in now, I'll sort of re-go over, some of our goals here. So we're doing Gardevoir tonight. We got some pretty simple goals here. The high elves, that's right, because Gardevoir is a whopping... whopping 5'3", absolutely high in that weight that tall category. It's so true. Fun fact, without my antlers, Gardevoir is taller than me. Anyway, so yeah, with this build, we're gonna be... Gardevoir's gonna need to see the future, because that's the thing that Pokedex talks a lot about, that Gardevoir knows a lot about can see briefly into the future, even get future sight. We need to heal and protect others. Gardevoir's whole thing is to be practically a bodyguard for anyone they find their best friend. As such, we're gonna be very ride or die. We will go all in for our friends and likely be more of a martyr at worst case scenario. We also need to make a black hole. So, yeah, because Gardevoir can just do that. So, yeah, we're gonna need to find a way to do that. Additionally, we've thought a bit about what Gardevoir exactly is, and we sort of settled with Elf, because Gardevoir is part Fairy type, and, well, Fairy and Gnome don't quite fit, so we're going more for the elegant, sort of Fey angle here. And you know what? It works, because Elves are... Fun fact, you know, there's a lot of things a lot of D&D players elect to ignore. You know, like things like tieflings can just look like normal-ass people, like in the D&D movie. Like, technically that's completely canon according to the books. Or like how Dragonborn aren't supposed to have tails. Another thing that people tend to ignore is elves are actually short kings. They're not tall like everyone characterizes them to be in a lot of their art. They're usually around, like, under 5'5", usually. Like, they're short. Like Gardevoir is actually probably elf height. But, yeah, no, that's just a fun fact. We favor a meteor swarm to do necrotic damage, and we could do kind of good. Oh, I guess I see what you mean by future sight. Or even a moonblast. But that would you probably want radiant. My tiefling doesn't have a tail and horns, but that's a backstory reasons. Yeah, I think the one time I was like, hey, some Dragonborn don't have tails in my setting. But that means that means they left the Dracuza. So, you know, fucks up their balance for the rest of their life. It's horrible. Anyway, so we got a lot of elf stuff. Elves get a lot of things. A lot of things that help you never have to sleep because you're a cool kid who always gets cooler. You also have advantage on being charmed. That's right. No one's gonna seduce you easily. Which I don't know why anyone would want to do that. And yeah, we get some extra skills like perception, so we can keep an eye out for, you know, reasons. And we went to High Elf because of course we are. So I think we're gonna get Mage Hand for our cantrip here, just because it's a simple cantrip. It's sort of our way to flavor psychic powers. And yeah, it's pretty simple. It's basically a little hand and a third hand you can summon. You can float it around. It can last up to a minute. And it can carry up to 10 pounds, which is twice as much as I thought Mage Hand does when I first looked at Mage Hand. But I looked at it again, and you can pick up a Great Axe with a Mage Hand. Now, you can't use it to attack people with it, but I found that out when trying to trying to find an item that may or may not be cursed with a Mage Hand. So, keep that in mind. How do they save information? That's half the reason you sleep. Well, they use trancing, so they just meditate for like 4 hours, and they just sort of, their processors are a lot faster because, you know, I guess elves really want to say they're superior with their 700-year plus lifespan and, you know, living several generations long, ideally. But that's just what happens when you're an elf and decide, this is how I want everyone's lives to be. You can swing a rope and tell it to swing it. It's technically not an attack. There, just swing the rope. Said the rope just happened to have an axe at the end of it. You know what? Honestly, it's just like, what a horrible, horrible guillotine accident. How could this have happened? Damn it. How could this have happened? Alright. So we also get elf weapon training. We have proficiency in long swords, short bows, and long bows. Alright. So I guess Gardevoir can use the blade just like their brother Gallade. Good for them. You know, I really like the idea if that's how they learned how to use the sword, is like they trained with their brother. Oh, that's cute. That's actually really cute. And we get to pick an extra language, I believe. Because we're so smart. So let's just, you know, I feel Gardevoir would know. I'm feeling Gardevoir kind of be knowing Gnomish. Just my gut feeling. So we just had some Gnomey talk in there as a treat. Alright, next we're gonna look at a background. Now, we know I will never get over the simple melee attack is different than attack with a melee weapon. They're almost the same thing. Alright, so, yeah, I have not thought about what I want Gardevoir's background to be, because really with Gardevoir, right, we sort of get and where they are in their story at that point. Like, Gardevoir is being a bodyguard. But why are they essentially being a bodyguard, and how do they get into that position? How do they find this person that they will ride or die for, or party members? I don't know if Gardevoir has found God yet to be an acolyte. Definitely not a charlatan. I don't think they're a charlatan. Let's see. I don't think Gardevoir's committed crimes. The people who made. See, we're not Far Traveler. Gardevoir doesn't fish. I'm sorry. I don't think Gardevoir is traumatized yet. Let's see. Honestly, I'm kind of vibing Noble. I don't think Gardevoir would have been like, you know, like a prince or princess, but I feel like Gardevoir definitely had, like, as a little Rolts, lived in a life of a bit of luxury. I think they were a rich kid, is kind of my gut feeling, you know? Like, shy, like, your shy kid gone to, like, oh, we'll get them to ballerina dancing because, like, you know, that's something, that would be a fun, elegant art, and then they grew up to be Gardevoir. Hey, honestly, I understand that sometimes 5e could be a little pedantic, but I'd rather 5e level pedantic as opposed to 3.5 pedantic, because Jesus Christ, I've looked at 3.5 / Pathfinder out of curiosity, and I do really like how specific it is, but all the things I don't like about Pathfinder also goes around the fact it's so specific. Yeah. See, I think the thing with 3.5 feats versus 5e feats is I feel that 5e feats are a lot more approachable. And I kind of like how generally they're a lot more universal, as opposed to 3.5 feats, which feel like if you make a mistake, your build's kind of ruined, from what I've gathered. No, I disagree with that. No, I see that they're trying to get, like, feat trees back, and I don't like that personally. Also, I think a lot of the feats in 5e are pretty solid. Like, there's some that are a bit weak, but that's just because they wanted to cover bases more so than, like, want to make everything powerful. Because, yeah, I think the ideal thing about a feat is I think it should just show up. Like, you could pick it up at any point in your adventure, as opposed to needing a very specific skill tree. Because it really locks in what you're going to get, and I get that some people may enjoy that. But I feel, again, it's a lot more approachable if it's not restricted. Alright, but yeah, I think Gardevoir is a lot more of a noble. I feel like their family has probably had their elven family probably had this title for like a hot minute. Probably a lot of old money. Yes, let's go for noble. That is going to give us proficiencies in history and persuasion. And everyone gets to see my wonderful spelling. And I spelled persuasion right, not history. I feel wild. Alright, we also get a proficiency in a gaming set, so I'm gonna say we are... I feel like Gardevoir is a chess player. Chess proficiency. Let's see. We get another language. So let's go something completely oddball. A Go player. Yeah, I remember the Hunter x Hunter board game. Yeah, I know. I'm cultured. Now you see she's proficient in chess, but she has expertise in checkers, because checkers is a game of wild of wild no rules. Yeah, Hunter x Hunter had like Go for like a really like Go just kind of was like a side thing for like one of the big arcs in the Chimera Ant arc, where literally just like this powerful Chimera creature goes like, all right, I'm gonna eat people, and you know, build my ant empire. Whoa, 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 whoa. This person actually beat me in a game. I'm interested, and they form wonderful romance, and it's very sweet, and totally not tragic. I'm pretty sure it was Go. I think it was at least called Go. I don't know if it was actually Smash Hit board game Go. But you know, I feel like Gardevoir is just no goblin. As a treat, you know, I mean, like sometimes goblins are fey. You know, maybe she has to negotiate with goblins. You know, maybe some hobgobs, some buggy bears, some buggy boys, my man. We also get some fine clothes. We get fancy ring to show we are noble. Scroll of prestige. And also, oh, we get a purse? Man, imagine having a purse. That's wild. That's how you know she's rich. She's got a purse. Alright. Yeah, so I feel like we came up from a noble background before Gardevoir eventually went over adventuring. But now let's look at fancy stats. Now, once again, I have to look around, define standard stat array, because even though I do this every week, I roll for stats, and my brain refuses to remember things. So, we're gonna put our 15 into intelligence, making that a 16, because that's gonna be a very important stat for us, what we want to do. Additionally, we're gonna put our 14 into, yeah, we'll put our 14 into wisdom. It's a pretty solid +2. Charisma, I feel like charisma's decent enough. We'll make that the 13. Because, you know, Gardevoir has made some impact to the public, so might as well honor that a little bit. Dex, we're gonna make that 12 a dex, so then it'll be buffed up to a 14. Have that ballerina-like grace. And we're gonna have that con be a 10, because we got decent HP. And make that strength low. It's one of Gardevoir's lower stats anyway. Though, surprisingly enough, Gardevoir learns a lot of physical moves, like Thunder Punch and a lot of the elemental punches, actually. As well as in Gen 3, Shadow Ball, which was a physical move at the time. Just a fun fact. Alright, so now we go to what we're going to go into. Now, we are going to start as a wizard, because that's going to be going into the route for a lot of the things we want. So we're going to start off with wizard level 1. Now, with wizard, I've done wizard here on the channel before. And what we're going to be doing for wizard is usually wizard gets a lot of spells at first level, and then after that, a wizard can get 2 free spells for every level they invest in a wizard. So, after level 2, we'll only get 2 more spells for free. Any other spell we want to get, we can use a spell book, which is basically a way how we manage our spells. If you want to pay 50 gold per spell slot and spend 2 hours you can add more spells in there. So if you're playing Gardevoir and you want to be, hey, I feel like this spell is going to be very applicable to my campaign, well then do it. Spend your money, please. Your DM gave you money for a reason, and spend it. I think a wizard's a great class to encourage people to actually spend money. So, let's look over at Wizard. So, first off, we're gonna have proficiency and intelligence and wisdom saves. Which wisdom is always a good stat to have proficiency in. That's gonna be great for, again, helping you not get charmed, frightened, or really anything affecting your mind. Dex and wisdom is typically one of the most common saves you're gonna be making in the game. So having proficiency in wisdom saving throws is always good. Intelligence is a bit rarer. It's been showing up a bit more since Tasha's Cauldron, and probably Spelljammer, I'm guessing. But when you need it, you want it. It's rare, but dear God, when they ask for that intelligence saving throw, it's always rough. So never hurts. Additionally, we get to pick from 2 skills. We already have history, so let's see. Let's look into Arcana. We probably want for sure. And what other skill do we want? We already have history. I feel like insight, because I feel like Gardevoir is very empathetic. So I think they just have a good read on people. I don't think it's out of suspicion. I think it's more so in a sense where they just kind of know, hey, here's the vibe of this person. And I sort of feel that they're feeling this kind of idea. Let's see. We're also, I feel like we are, you know, I feel like Gardevoir has a knife. Gardevoir can have a knife as a treat. I don't know, I kind of like the idea, because, I don't know, I'm kind of enjoying this little fantasy in my head of, like, Gardevoir having, like, a brother they grew up with, that would become Gallade, which we may make in the future. And Gallade, like, helped her out learning, how to use the sword. So, because of that, Gardevoir just knows how to use a knife really good. Even if it isn't, like, a proper sword, it's like, nah, I can stab people good even with this tiny little sword. We're just gonna put that in there. Yeah, and that's Spellbook. Again, Spellbook is sort of your main bread and butter as a wizard. Your Spellbook is where all your spells are going to be. The Spellbook essentially allows you to theoretically have any spell any spell you can learn. Thank you for the hydrate socks. Yeah, so, again, at level 1, we're going to start with 6 first level spells, just added onto the spell list, as well as 3 cantrips, so we're gonna have a pretty heavy start. But as we level up, we get 2 free spells every level. If you want to add more spells into your collection, you can go out, find scrolls, rather in adventures or in libraries or magical stores or wherever you can find it in your setting, and you just have to pay 50 gold per spell slot to get the materials to start testing and finding your results and how to recreate the spell regularly. So if you're wanting to learn Featherfall because you didn't pick it up when you leveled up, oh, thank you, thank you for having me summon both demons most foul. We got Stolas, the Demon Prince, and our Demon President, Amy. Alright. So, yeah, if you want to pick up Featherfall, that's going to be a simple 50 gold to get simple test funds. But say if you wanted to learn something a bit more advanced, like how to blind people, that would be 100 gold to recreate. So it's a way for you to get a lot of spells in the game, but for our intents and purposes, we're just gonna get 2 every level and pick those up. Additionally, you may have many of these spells to choose from, but you can only prepare as many as your wizard level plus your intelligence. So for us, we got a +3 intelligence and we're level 1, so out of the 6 spells that we know, we can prepare 4 of them. It's pretty good. And if the book is ever destroyed, we essentially have to get another book and pay practically a 5th of what we got for the spells. It would be 10 gold per level instead. So say you're level 1 and your book caught into flames and it's all gone, everything's ruined. It'll only cost you about 60 gold to get it all repaired. Because you know what you're doing. So, in that case, let's look at the wizard's spell list. Alright, so first off, for an offensive cantrip, I think we're gonna go for Mind Sliver. Mind Sliver is a good basic psychic attack, could be our confusion sort of thing. And basically, we say a little bit of a funny word, and someone has to make an intelligence saving throw. If they fail, they take a d6 of psychic damage, and we'll have to subtract a d4 from their next saving throw, which could be helpful to support your other teammates, your other spellcasters, anyone doing a saving throw. It's practically like a short-term bane. Alright, we got Mind Sliver. Let's see. What else do we want? What else do we want? I don't think Minor Illusion quite works. We already got Mage Hand. We could get True Strike to see into the future. No. That might be a later, cantrip when I don't know what else to pick up. So, let's see. We could get... Blade would be better if you could cast on other people, because that could prep other people to take hits better. Let's see here. We can do Message, because that could give us a way to communicate with other people with our psychic telepathic abilities. Message. Not message. Message. Oh god. I forgot how to type anything. Message. Tell me your secrets, Gardevoir. Oh, we also get Message because... Oh, I'm just thinking... Okay, that gets me to think of the episode where Max in the Hoenn anime had to, like, carry the Ralts to a Pokemon Center all by his lonesome. And now they could just telepathically communicate. Oh, it's wonderful. I love it. Let's see. What else do we want? Why don't we get some Prestidigitation? I feel like that's a good spell that we can pick up for some quality of life. I don't think Gardevoir starts off as a real aggressive wizard. I don't think Gardevoir is out here starting out to cause malice. So we'll just pick up Prestidigitation. Prestidigitation is essentially just sort of a funny miscellaneous spell It's basically a lot of small miniature spells and magic tricks just sort of put into one category. You could do things like make a lighter or take out a candle. You could clean up bloodstains, or if you feel dirty, you could do prestidigitation, get yourself all degrimed. You could also make someone look like they peed their pants. That's crude of you. You would never do that. Unless. You could also warm up your coffee in your hands, as well as do mint a funny logo, or make small little magical trinkets for short periods of time. And they can stack, so that's pretty nice. Alright, now let's look at the 6 spells. 6 spells, 6 spells. Let's go. Let's go 6 spells. Alright. So, let's see what we can get for some early divination. Right? Alright, so some early divination here would be comprehend languages, but that's not quite future predicty. I feel like Gardevoir we might pick up Detect Magic. To vibe check. Ooh, we'll definitely pick up Silvery Barbs. So, Silvery Barbs, I think, is a good defensive spell. Because essentially, it's a way for, we can use this as a reaction. And when someone does a roll, you can go, do that again at disadvantage. Roll the dice again, it's now a disadvantage. And you can give the advantage to someone else. Ideally, you could give it to a party member to give them better luck. So essentially you give someone disadvantage and you give someone else advantage. It's very neat, it's a reaction. So you can use it a few times, and it's a good way for you to protect those who may look like they're gonna get a pretty nasty hit. Let's see. I don't think we need the help that much to have an unseen servant. Let me see with my eyes. I think we could get... we don't really use a lot of fire to... Gardevoir doesn't want a lot of fire type moves to get Burning Hands. Let's see. I think we'll get Detect Magic. What Detect Magic essentially does... Detect Magic can essentially have you see within 30 feet of you any magical auras. You can tell what school of magic it's from just by looking at it. You can't tell what it does, but you can just know, like, hey, one, that book is magical as fuck, and also it's got some necromancy vibes, so, like, maybe you should be a bit careful about it. If you open it, you may turn to bones. It's a great way for you to either find traps or maybe even see anything that's kind of weird going on. You know what? Why don't we, for an offensive spell, why don't we get Witch Bolt? It's a weird thing to suggest, but here's my reasoning of why we'd pick up Witch Bolt. So, Gardevoir learns a lot of just electric moves. Is kind of a weird thing I've noticed with her. Like, Gardevoir will, like, learn things like Lightning Bolt, Thunder Punch, and like Thunder Wave, like the few access to like just electric type moves out of any of the elements. So I don't know. We'll pick up some Witch Bolt action. What Witch Bolt does is you roll an attack, and if it hits, the creature takes a D12 of lightning damage. And if you continue to use your turn to deal damage, you'll automatically deal another D12 of damage. Now, yes, this spell does scale up. So if it's second level, it'll always be 2d12 lightning damage, and so on and so forth. So if it also hits and crits, it'll be pretty nasty. It may not be a very optimal spell, but I feel like it kind of fits the vibe with Gardevoir learning some electric type moves into their roster and gives them some form of offense. Additionally, if you use anything outside of your action, your action do anything but be DPS, the spell will dissipate. So just be a bit careful with that. Let's put up to my music. Okay, it's still going. Neat. Neat. Alright. So, let's look at some more spells. Oh, you know what? I kind of like the idea of Color Spray being Dazzling Gleam. Of, like, we just have, like, a big burst of light that blinds people. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, basically, you create a 15-foot cone of dazzling light, rather it be through colors or the like, and you roll 6d10. You roll 6d10s. That's how many hit points it's gonna affect. So, essentially, that's sort of like a pool of hit points that will determine who gets affected. So say you're running away from the town guard, right? Gardevoir has been working with some ruffians, because, I don't know, maybe they're like a Jasmine and they want more out of life. They want to do something better with their lives than just sort of be locked up to likely be married off for some sort of political contract. So, you know, there's a little bit of trouble. You're running from the town guard. You can get, a typical town guard is about 8 hit points. So if you roll average, right, an average would be about 35 hit points, and wait, it's 60-10. Yeah, so that's about 35. So you would get at least you would at least get 3 of the guards blinded at average, and at most you can get about 4 or 5 blinded, which can be pretty good. Any creature that's blinded automatically just can't see you. It also gives them disadvantage on attacking, automatically fail any perception involving sight, and everyone has advantage on attacking them. So it's a good setup and a good way to sort of have people lose their tracks. And it's also a pretty big HP pool, especially compared to sleep. And also, whenever you cast at a higher level, add 2d10. So it's, again, it's got pretty high potential. Let's see, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 spells. We get 2 more spells because we're a spoiled little wizard. I don't really think Charm Person really fits. Because 1, we don't really learn Charm. But I don't feel like that actually fits Gardevoir. I don't feel like Gardevoir is manipulative. Let me see. I think we're just be funny. Why don't we just get Identify? Identify is always a really solid spell. Identify is essentially a spell where you can go up to an item and go, hey DM, what the fuck is this? Give me the deets. This is oftentimes so you're going to be able to find out what a magic item does before you attune to it. You also get to know if anything's under the effect of a spell. and how many charges a magic item has to use. So, say if you have the Sword of Kill Things Good, and it does like use a charge and it casts like a spell. You know how many times a day you can do that, and how many it currently has. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you know, feel like just to help out our friends better, we'll get protection from good and evil. Protection from good and evil basically lets us put a ward around someone and gives protection for several, not just one of these, but all of these creature types. Any creature that is an aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead has disadvantage on any attack rolls against you. You also can't be charmed or frightened or possessed by them, and if you already are under those conditions, you have advantage on the next saving throw. So, it's pretty good to just help out your friends. Evil. Alright. Oh, I probably should have... Here, wait. Oh well. Here, I'm gonna do something radical here. No, did I... Can I go back? Yeah, can I control Z, please? I could not. For shame. Alright. So we're just gonna rewrite some things. Because I'm cool and smart and I think good sometimes. So yeah, so far we've been pretty utility and helping out the pals. Alright, and we're going to Wizard level 2 where we get to the more spice here. So at second level we pick up a subclass. Oh, also I forgot one thing. Sorry, I'm a fool. At level 1 you also get Arcane Recovery. Arcane Recovery is an ability you can use once per short rest to gain spell slots back. You can get as many spell slots equal to half your wizard level rounding up. That way you can always get you one of your higher level spell slots back, and it caps at level 6. So if you have a level 7 spell, you can't recover that in Arcane Recovery, but you can get up to a 6th level spell. So if you were a level 4 spellcaster, or not, if you were a level 4 wizard, you could either get a 2nd level spell slot back, or you can get 2 1st level spell slots back. So it's a good way to either get a lot of your minor magic back, or get a power move back. It's pretty flexible. And you get a short rest, so if you can't get your big resty, it's a good little copy break. Alright, so now we're gonna go into our arcane tradition. Now, I did see someone in chat predict that we were gonna go for divination, but we're going to be going for something a bit more exotic. We're going to be going into Graviturgy. So Graviturgy is a wizard class in Matthew Mercer's Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. And it's all about manipulating gravity and the like. And you may think, well, what does Gardevoir really have to do with gravity? Well, basically, Graviturgy, and like Chronomancers essentially get unique spells that they have access to, which allows us to get to one of our goals. So it's gonna be a bit funky, but we're gonna get there. This is gonna be our main way of studying. So we're gonna become School of Graviturgy. Alright. So, one thing that we could do at level 2 is adjust density. As an action, we can magically alter the weight of an object or creature within 30 feet of us. The object cannot be... it has to be large or smaller, so it can't be bigger than a minotaur, let's say. The target's weight is halved or doubled up to 1 minute. And it counts, and you're concentrating on it as if you would any others as a concentration spell. So that means you can't cast another concentration spell while you're doing this, or if you get hit, you have to roll a concentration check to see if you'll keep the spell going. So that just means you have to roll a Constitution saving throw, and typically you just have to roll above 10. Unless you take over 20 damage, you don't have to worry about the alternative roll. When the weight of the creature is halved, the creature's speed increases by 10 feet and can jump twice as far. They do have disadvantage on strength checks because they have low gravity, like they're on the moon. But if you double it, the movement speed is reduced by 10 and has advantage on strength checks and saving throws. So basically, it makes you stronger but slower. It's more intense. And at 10th level, we can do the same towards anything huge or smaller. So, yeah. So in that case, then we can alter the gravity of giants. So, that's going to be an adjust density. Alright, and we get to pick up 2 spells for our wizardly book activities. So let's see, I think there's usually a spell or 2 for... we can magnify gravity. That sounds cool. So basically, we get to do our sort of class ability, but as a spell with a bit more reach. So the gravity of a 10-foot sphere, center point that you can see, has an increased gravity for a moment. Each creature in the sphere, on its turn, must make a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, the creature takes 2d8 force damage, and its speed is half to the end of its next turn. On a success, they take half the damage, and the speed is not reduced. Until the start of your next turn, any object that isn't being worn or carried in the sphere requires a successful strength check to pick up. So basically, we can just use our psychic powers to just crush an area, starting our means to manipulate the cosmos around us just a little bit. This is a good way to make people a bit more vulnerable to stay in one spot, or it also could be a good way for us to cause a distraction, making some people really need to pick up something and have them be sitting ducks. Let's see what else we can pick up. Wait, let me check something with Gardevoir, because I think they learned this move, but I want to double check. Because it could fit one of the spells. Okay, cool. So, Gardevoir can learn a move called Disarming Voice, which is essentially your like a weak aerial ace. You know, it's a move that never misses. So, in that case, I think we should get Magic Missile. Magic Missile is essentially a spell that always hits. If you can see the motherfucker, and they're in 120 feet, you can blast them with up to 3 darts of pure force. These darts do 1d4 plus 1 each, so it's a good way to guarantee damage onto either several enemies, or if you want to initiate a get 'em. Of course, if you upcast a spell, you add an additional dart onto the spell. Pretty simple stuff. And I want to double check anything if I didn't miss anything with Wizard. I think Starcane Tradition. Yeah. Alright, pretty simple stuff. Paste, and we go to level 3. Level 3, we finally get access to second level spells, which is just a bit more wacky magics. So, let's see what kind of magic we want here. I think first off, right away, I'm seeing Aguary. Aguary is essentially a way for us to start reading the future. Essentially what Aguary does, it's the spell where you go up to the DM and go like, "Hey boss, does this seem like a good idea? Like, we spent like 40 minutes talking about a plan. Does it sound like a good plan? And is it likely to work?" And the DM has to answer as honestly as possible. Now, it does say it's within the next 30 minutes, but usually in D&D player time, that's probably not too long, especially if they're really planning on doing it. So, yeah, and if you do it multiple times a day, the DM could be a lot more fickle about it, or maybe even change the answer. So be careful when you ask God about the future. But I think it's a good way for us to start learning about the future. Augury. And let's see, what else do we want to pick up? Because that's a good one for one of our goals here. Do we have any for... Oh, cool. We could manipulate gravity and get an immovable object. Though I am kind of looking at... looking at Hold Person. That one could be really cool because I know we can get Thunder Wave. That is through TM. So I may pick that up later. Oh, I don't think we'll pick it up now, but I think Shadow Blade would be really neat with the idea that we trained with, like, Gallade growing up so we could have our own weapon. I don't know when we're going to pick that up, but that may be a good spell to pick up if we have any spare spells to pick up. Tasha's Mind would be good for psychic powers as well. So let's look at a few options here. Let me look at, why don't I just peek at Immovable Object real quick and see if that's something we want. If not, we'll probably go for Mind Whip. Alright, Immovable Object. You touch an object that weighs no more than 10 pounds and causes it to become magically fixed in a place. You and the creature you designate, when you cast a spell, can move the object normally. Oh, fuck, you could just be like, alright, we're gonna move this, like, hammer. It's gonna be unmovable for everyone else. But we could just move it like normal. Oh, and you can move. Yeah, okay. You can also set a password that when spoken within 5 feet of the object, it suspends the spell for 1 minute over its 1 hour duration. If the object is fixed in the air, it can hold up to 4,000 pounds of weight. More weight causes the object to fall. Otherwise, a creature can use its action to make a strength check against your spell save DC. On a success, the creature can move that object up to 10 feet. Oh, you know what would be so mean? Oh, it'd be so mean if you cast a movable object on something and then magnify gravity, where if they try, there'd be like no way for them to pick up a thing. That would be so mean. I love it. Oh, if you upcast up to 4th or 5th level, the DC to move the object increases by 5. Oof. And carries twice the weight. And the duration lasts for 24 hours. If you cast a spell using a 6th level spell slot, DC increases by 10 and carry up to 20,000 pounds. And the effect is permanent until the spell. That's cool. You know? I kind of like that, though. So, I'm kind of feeling immovable object hours as a treat. Also, at level 3, wizards get a new ability after Tasha's where wizard can switch out a cantrip at a long rest. So essentially, you can swap out a basic cantrip that you have for something else if you feel like you want to try something new, or if you feel that there's a certain damage type that's a bit more applicable. I just thought I'd add it here because I remember that existed. So, yeah. Alright, now we enter to level 4. Now, here we can pick either a feat or an ability score improvement. So let's check out our stats real quick and see what we want. So with this build, we're gonna be splitting some stats here. But I'm gonna see if we really want because we have even numbers, so the ASI does seem appealing. But I do want to check out feats. I want to give them a shot. I want to give them the time of day. Bum ba-da-dum bum, ba-dum ba-da-da-bum, ba-da-bum. So let's see some good feats. Warcasters need maybe not necessarily a feat that we'd want, or not right away, because Warcaster does lets us use a spell like a opportunity of attack. So if someone ran past our range, we could use a fucking lightning bolt, or like bestow curse or something if we wanted to, and we have advantage on Constitution saving throws to maintain concentration. We also could have a weapon in our hand. That might be better if we do a Gallade build. Telekinetic or telepathic could be pretty cool for what we want for just psychic flavor. I want to check out Fey Touched, because I do feel like we're a bit Fey Touched. So we could increase one of our soft stats by 1. We'd also get Misty Step for free, which would be pretty cool. Especially because the Roltz line can teleport innately. And we get a first level divination spell, which let's look at those options real quick. Alright. So with those, for those options, I don't know if we really want that. Wait, is Gift of... Wait, what is this spell? That's a... Oh. Alright. That's a bit odd. You know what? That wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be a bad thing to just have. So... Okay. No, that could be a good thing if we want divination and help us sort of have a influence on the future and give us a way for just sort of boosting our allies a bit, being more of a supportive wizard. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So yeah, why don't we just get Fey Touched? So Fey Touch will allow us to do is we'll have a small ability score improvement, so that we're not gonna get a buff yet, but it's going to go up to 17. And with this, we'll have a once per day Misty Step. which Misty Step is a bonus action where you can teleport anywhere within 30 feet. So it's a good get out of jail free card, and it's a bonus action, so you can still do things after, and it's a good way to sort of flavor the Rolled Slime's ability to teleport. And we're also going to get that gift of, what was it, equity? Acuity? Yeah, gift of alacrity. That way we can sort of see into the future and give our pals a bit of an initiative buff. Now, because we can cast the levels for those spells, we can still cast them as if we know them. But we can cast them once per day for free. So for the Misty Step, we can do that for free without using a spell slot, but after we use that Misty Step, we then have to use our second level spell slots for it. Same with Gift of Alacrity. Which is always good to have a wizard with slightly more spells. Nothing bad ever happens to wizards with more spells. Imagine the hubris of wizards without spells. It's impossible. Alright, let's see some more second level spells, because second level spells are pretty cool, son. Oh, excuse me. Let me see with my little eye. Yeah, we can pick up Tasha's Mind Whip now. So what Mind Whip does is we basically have our Mind Whip come out, target someone within 30 feet. Oh, it's up to 90 feet. Jesus, this Mind Whip is long. They had to make an intelligence saving throw. They failed to take 3d6 psychic damage and can't use a reaction until that's their turn. And on their turn, they must use either an action or bonus action. Oh wait, you can only move, use an action, or bonus action, and not all the three. You can only use one. On a failed save, it just takes half the damage. So, yeah, always a good one. And for the second spell, I'm thinking we start getting that healer going as a wizard. That's right, wizards can kind of heal sometimes. And we're going to be using Wither and Bloom. I didn't actually think this is a wizard spell, but this lets us invoke both death and life upon a 10-foot radius. Each creature you choose in the area must make Constitution saving throws and take 2d6 necrotic damage. On a failed save, to take half as much. And also, non-magical plants get all crispy. In addition, one creature you can see within the area can roll one of their unused hit die and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll plus spellcasting modifier. So, essentially, if we were to do this, say, on our very tanky barbarian pal, no, let's say Gallade, right? Say we're fighting it out with, and Gallade, our brother Gallade's with us. We want to damage everyone, give a few people some 2d6 damage, and Gallade, we'll probably assume Gallade's a fighter. Gallade would get a d10 hit points plus our spellcasting modifier, which is +3, which is pretty good. That's practically a second win as a freebie for them. So it's pretty good, especially as a wizard, to get some healing. Never hurts. Now we get to level 5 and we have a real cool time now that we get 3rd level spells. That's right, we can go even further with spell time. So, let us see what we could get. Just skim the spells, skim the spells. Hypnotic pattern to be neat. Oh, we're getting life transference. So, hey, what if we could heal more as a wizard? But at what cost? So, life transference is a real fun spice spell. So you sacrifice some of your health to give to someone else. You take 4d8 necrotic damage. You can't reduce it in any way. So say if you had a resistance to necrotic damage naturally, like say you were an ASMR, or maybe you're like some sort of undead race or whatever, you're gonna take the full brunt of the damage no matter what. And you choose a creature within 30 feet, and they regain double the damage that you took. So, say God forbid, you took the full 48 damage, you got that 32 damage, you got the big oofy, they're gonna get up to 64 hit points, which is insane. On average, it's probably gonna be about, it's 5 for d8, so that's about at least 20 hit points back. No, that's at least 20 damage you're taking and 40 hit points they're getting back. It's a really good high risk, high reward spell. I feel like that really works with the goal of ride or die. Let us see what else we want from this. See, is there anything that we could see from the future? Ooh, pulse wave. Seems like gravity. Let's see what we can get from here. You create an intense pressure, unleash it in 30-foot cone. Decide whether the pressure pulls or pushes creatures or objects. Each creature in the cone must make a Constitution saving throw. Creature takes 66 force damage on a failed save, half as much on a successful one. And every creature that fails the save is pushed 15 feet forward or pulled to you, depending on the choice you made. In addition, unsecured objects that are completely within the cone are likewise pushed or pulled. Now, I don't really feel like that fits Gardevoir, so we're going to stay away from that one. That's a really cool spell, really great. Let's see. What else could we get? We could fake our death. I don't feel like it's pretty Gardevoir. Let us see. Why don't we get... Why don't we get Remove Curse? Just sort of be a bit more of a support. Actually... No, why don't we not get Remove Curse? I'm thinking Remove Curse may not be the wise idea, but I'm thinking... you know what? Why don't we get Lightning Bolt? Because we can just learn Thunderbolt as Gardevoir, and if you're ever playing Gen 3, you want Gardevoir to have a Thunderbolt so she doesn't just have Psychic. So yeah, I'm just gonna pick that up. Let's see if we get an extra cantrip at this point. Or if we got one last level. We got the extra cantrip last level. Cool, so we're just gonna go back there and look at our cantrip options. You know what, why don't we just get Mending? Mending's basically the DOI sewing kit of Magic, where you can just sort of knit things together. Here we enter level 6, and I believe we get a new feature for our Graviturgy, for majoring in gravity. With Gravity Well, when you reach 6th level, whenever you cast a spell on a creature, you can move the target 5 feet to an unoccupied space of your choice if the target is willing to move. Spell hits with an attack, or fails its saving throw, gets a spell. Oh wait, what? Let me reread that. You can move the target 5 feet onto an unoccupied space of your choice if the target is willing to move. The spell hits with an attack roll, or if it fails saving throw against the spell. Huh. Only if they're willing to move. That's weird. I thought it would just be automatic, you know, like if they fail, you just push them around. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Let's see what third level spells do we want as a treat, or if we want to even go for second level spells. Let's see, let's go for 1/3 and 1 second level, never hurts. Let's go for Clairvoyance, give us that bit of divination that we're looking forward to see into the future. Now it's a lot more seeing into the present, but it's a great scouting spell. Essentially, you can choose a spot within a mile and be able to see or hear just anything that's going on within that mile spot. It's a great way for you to just do basic reconnaissance at a spot. The anchor is invisible, so unless someone can see invisibility or is specifically looking for invisible things, it's not even going to notice you. But basically, you guys have to be somewhat familiar with the spot, or at least know, like, hey, I'm gonna focus it on the other side of the door, so I can just see what's on the other side. It does take about 10 minutes. It's a good thing to do more when you're preparing for things rather than already in a dungeon, though. Just keep that in mind. Alright, so now let's look at some second level spells. This is true. Oh, I just realized that Life Trance really is, there's like 2 wishes. There's like Wish, and this Healing Wish. It's like Healing Wish move. It is just like Healing Wish move. Classic Pokemon. You know, let's go for Mind Spike. Mind Spike is basically a way for us to deal some psychic damage with 3d8 psychic damage if they fail a wisdom saving throw. And when they fail, you get to know the target's location until the spell ends, which can be up for an hour. But as long as you're in the same plane of existence, but it cannot be hidden from you. You just know where it is. Even if it's invisible, you're like, yeah, I know where you are, Chucklefuck. Alright, and now we get to level 7, which is the level I've really been looking for. Why, you may ask? Well, it's a very good question. Because now we can get what we've been looking for. At level 7, we can get Gravity Sinkhole, which can only be get through the Graviturgy side of things. So, we can use a turn with a 4th level spell to conjure a 20-foot radius sphere of crushing force that forms at one point that you can see within range, and it tugs at the creatures in there. So again, this is basically fireball size, just for reference. So anywhere you can throw a fireball at, you can go knucking futz. Oh hey, Nocturnal Thing! Playing a tabletop RPG game on my own, so don't let my group know. I want to support that. Oh, I really appreciate you lurking, Nocturnal Thing. I really hope your support. I really appreciate the support, and Gardevoir does too. Thank you. But yeah, we're finding out how we can make a black hole for Gardevoir. With Gravity Sinkhole after investing 7 levels into Wizard. So we create a 20-foot radius sphere of pain. Each creature in the sphere must make a Constitution saving throw. On the failed save, the creature takes 5d10 force damage and is pulled into the straight line to the center of the sphere, ending an unoccupied space as close to the center as possible, even if the space is in the air. On a successful save, the creature takes half the damage and is not pulled. So yeah, this is basically a simple black hole we just create, of just a void where everything's pushed in real quick. I think this is probably the most accurate way to describe the black hole for Gardevoir, because I don't think it's a massive, like, expanding black hole. I think it's just a moment of sheer force, concentrated, and then let go. It's definitely not long term. I think this is the best way to describe what Gardevoir do. Oh, single one word? Oh, it is. No, I want. No. No, please. Alright. So that's one spell. That's one spell we got. How many more do you really have, Gardevoir? Let's see. Is there any fun 4th level spell that we could also pick up? Ooh, Divination's pretty good, because we can ask God 4 fun 3 fun questions? Ooh, yes, no, this is good for what we want. So, we can have an offering to the arcane forces, and we can ask a question, that will affect our goals, events, or plan, that something that's going to happen within a week, and God, the DM, has to tell you honestly, but they could do it through like a short, simple phrase, a cryptic rhyme, or like a series of omens, which is pretty cool. We can also do this as a ritual, which is also nice. And yeah, it also, if you do it more times a day, it gets a bit more faulty. But I think it's a good way for us to start predicting the future and being able to see what is going on up here. But I do think it is funny that there is just one spell in the divination school just called divination. That's like if someone on the necromancy school was like, and now I will make the spell necromancy. It will necromance all of you. Like, alright, man, I get it. I get it. It raises bodies. Alright, and yeah, I think I'm just gonna... I think we'll go to level 8 wizard. So we can pick up an ability score increase real quick. So we're gonna want to... I think we want to catch up our wisdom for what we want to do after this. So, let's get that +2 wisdom. And look at some other spells that we could pick up. As a treat. Do we get another cantrip though? We do not. Cool, my home dog. Let's see, what other spells can we get? I don't really think we learn Fusion. Dimension Dark would be nice. We do teleport. A lot of people would wish she can summon black tentacles, but she cannot. I'm sorry, Gardevoir cannot get a dog. I'm sorry. That's not how it works. Excuse me. Ooh, Sickening Radiance could be really spicy, because I feel like that's sort of like... I can see that being pretty Gardevoir. More so in just sort of the fairy type aesthetic of using light-based moves. Ooh, Stone Skin would be a really good support move that Gardevoir would definitely like to pick up. I don't know, maybe I should back up a bit. Ooh, Arcane Eye could be pretty cool. Actually, no, I don't think she's really a reconnaissance that way. Let me see. What are the spells should we pick up? Ooh, Intellect Fortress is actually pretty good. That'd be a good way to help out our friends, to prevent them getting a rough time. Essentially, Intellect Fortress allows a target to have resistance to psychic damage, and as well have advantage in all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saves. Anytime you cast a spell higher than 3rd level, you can add this effect to other people, including yourself. So this is a good way for when you're a higher level caster to give your party protection from, say, mind flares, or if it seems like people are really going after your mind. Intellect. I'll take a free hydrate because I need it. Forties. And you know what? Why don't we pick up Shadow Blade? You know, we can have our cool moment of learning from our brother Gallade. I think that's neat. Also, the idea of both of them using Shadow Blades in like a cool fight scene, I think that would be really cool and something the players would really want to do. Because I feel like they'd be players that'll be playing like together. So I'm gonna give her Shadow Blade. Shadow Blade is essentially a spell where you get to summon a shadowy weapon. The weapon does psychic damage instead of slashy damage. There's 2d8 psychic damage. It has the light and thrown property, so you can throw it like 20 feet and then get it back as a bonus action. If you're ever in the darkness, you'll get advantage on your sword attacks. It's with Gallade. Alright, now we're going to change things up. Now we're going to go, instead of Wizard, we're going to go now to Cleric. Now Gardevoir's found God. So now that we've sort of found out a black hole, I feel like now we can play a lot more defensive. We can play a lot more support. We've found ways how we can help out, but I feel like Gardevoir has found these ways in a lot more self-destructive manner. You know? Like, either ways where it either harms herself, like life transference, or with, say, with Wither and Bloom, she has to hurt people to heal, and I feel like that's given Gardevoir a lot of trouble. You know, maybe Gardevoir has found some new beliefs, and I think we should find out what kind of beliefs Gardevoir is going into here. Ooh, this is a bop. Which one is this from? Oh, is this Arceus? Oh, it is. Cool. You recognize it. Alright, so let's look at Cleric and sort of vibe what sort of subclass we're going to pick up there to get a lot more of our support abilities. Now, Life Domain's kind of the Cleric that a lot of people think of when they think, oh, so you're a Cleric, right? You're going to heal? What are you going to do? You're going to heal? You're going to heal, baby? And you know what? I'm a bit cautious to go Life Domain. It's sort of my plan B, because I'm very spiteful towards Life Domain. It's good at what it does, but I kind of want to see other options before I go to Life Domain. And the one I want to look at first is the Peace Domain, because Peace Domain's got some pretty interesting gimmicks. So, essentially, Peace Domain is kind of like the one that's more like, hey, power, friendship, all of us get together, and sort of keeping people to form connections and, you know, stay peaceful instead of go crazy with conflict. Which could be pretty good for what we're looking for. We'll get some pretty good spells for what we're looking here. Particularly, I'm really looking at that Warding Bond, always prepared. So, some things to know about Cleric. One, we'll be going into multicasting. We're going to multiclass here, and things get a little complicated with multiclassing. So, multiclassing with spellcasters can be a massive headache. But what we need to know is we can still cast all our wizard spells. We still have our spell book, and we still know all the wizard spells that we have. And we can still prepare them how we wish. We can still prepare our intelligent modifier plus wizard level. So for us, that would be about, we could prepare up to 8 plus 3, so we can prepare 11 wizard spells, right? And we can cast up to 4th level wizard spells. But we're technically a 9th level caster, and things get a bit funky. So we could cast up to a 5th level, any of our spells up to 5th level. So like, say if we wanted to do the magic missile example, like any other 9th level spellcaster, we could use a level 5 magic missile. But we can't learn a level 5 spell because we decided to go a different route of magic. And clerics are a bit similar to how wizards get their spells. Clerics have a spell list they have access to, and they can change it during a long rest. So it's going to be similar to your wizard spell list, except you don't have to collect it. Your spell list is a lot smaller, but it's more flexible. In doing so, you can prepare as many as your wisdom plus your cleric levels. So we could probably prepare up to like 4 cleric spells, similar to when we were starting out as wizard. In doing so, we are going to what am I thinking? We are, just like with our wizard spells, we can cast any of these cleric spells up to 5th level. But because we're just starting out with the Faith and the Lord, we're only knowing the simple tricks. We're getting 1st level spells only for Cleric right now, till we get to level 3 in Cleric and access 2nd level spells and so on and so forth, but we'll be able to upcast them significantly. So, say when we pick out Cure Wounds, you know, we can only learn Cure Wounds, but we can cast it up to 5th level. But we can't do, say, we can't prepare Spiritual Weapon, which is another Cleric classic. But here's gonna be a thing. Cleric is funky, because unlike Wizard, they're not like a class where you get a specific roster of spells every level. We do get certain spells that are always prepared, related to our subclass, but because our spells are more prepared, we're going to be a bit more loose on them. And I'm going to try and give more recommendations. So, first up, let's talk over Peace Domain. Because Peace Domain is one I was mostly eyeing for this, and I kind of want to see where it goes. So, right away, we'd get two pretty good spells, which is Heroism. Heroism is a spell that gives a creature temporary hit points equal to our spellcasting modifier, which for clerics is going to be based off our wisdom. It is going to be a bit confusing. Multi-classing spellcasters is a hell, because when they use two different stats, they're based off two different stats. So our wisdom spells are going to be based on intelligence, and our cleric spells are going to be based on wisdom. Is this confusing? Yes. Will people think I'm a madman trying to explain and differentiate things? Yes. But no, it's not my fault that wizards like things complicated. But basically, yes, we're getting a heroism. That would allow a creature to have temporary hit points equal to our wisdom modifier, which I think at this point is +3, at the start of their turn for as long as the spell is active. Additionally, they will be immune to fear, so they cannot be spooked by a dragon. Additionally, we'd get Sanctuary, which is basically our don't hit this person spell. Sanctuary is a spell where you can cast onto someone, and as long as that person doesn't attack, people have to make a wisdom saving throw, and if they fail, they can't attack that creature. They have to go and attack the nearest thing, or waste their attack. It's a good way to, I find it the best way I've used it is to secure an NPC. Typically, if they're more of a civilian type character, it's a good way to sort of keep them out of the fight and ensure their security. Or like, say, if you have a player that's down on 0 hit points and rolling death saving throws, and you have an enemy that's really going for the kill, you get a way to give them a less chance to bleed to death. So that's always nice. We'd also get Aid, which buffs everyone's hit points up max HP by 5, which is good. They also heal at 5 right away. Warding Bond's what I really want. So yeah, I'm really looking at that. I want to look at some abilities we'd get right away. You know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's just do it. So we're gonna get Peace Domain. We're gonna have a nice domestic. We're gonna have a nice power of friendship. We worship the god of friendship. The magical archfey of being pals. In doing so, we're gonna get that heroism and Sanctuary. Now, these spells you see here, will always have prepared. So we'll always be able to switch around our spells at the beginning of every day, but these spells we'll always have. We'll never have to actively go out of our way to get them. We'll always have them in our toolkit, which is always nice. You know, I like a lot of these spells for classes, because for a lot of subclass ideas, because it really just lets players sort of have something in their back pocket and not have to worry about getting it specifically, and encourages them to use spells they would maybe not normally pick. Additionally, we're going to get Implement of Peace, which will give us a proficiency in Insight, or we could have, or Persuasion. We don't have proficiency in Performance, so we'll take that, because you know what, why not? Oh wait, we can get that from our ballerina years. That's cute. That's a cute thought. And we get Empowering Bond. At first level, you can forge an empowering bond among people who aren't at peace with one another, or at peace with one another. As an action, you choose a number of willing creatures within 30 feet. This can include yourself, equal to your proficiency bonus. So for us, we got this pretty late in the game, at level 9. So we can get up to, I believe, 4 creatures under this bond, like right off the bat, which is pretty cool. A creature magically bonded can last up to 10 minutes or until you use this feature again. When bonded within a creature within 30 feet of you, the creature can roll a d4 onto their attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. Each creature can add a d4 no more than once per turn. I may use feature equal to proficiency bonus or until you finish the long rest. So basically, this is if you guys are staying close together within 30 feet, you can essentially get a bless once per round, adding a d4 onto any roll once a turn, which is pretty good, especially if you're having attackers who feel like they got a pretty low roll, have a bit of a chance to push it even further to make it a hit. It's good, and it makes everyone feel like they're being pals and they're being powered by friendship. Now, I want to look at some cleric spells real quick. That's right, we're going to make another wiki dot. Now, I know last time I went into multi-classing spellcasters, specifically Druid. That was kind of a nightmare because I had to think of like all the spells I would recommend. Since we're looking for a simple healer, I'm going to recommend some very simple spells. I'd recommend Cure Wounds or Healing Word. Both of them are very good spells. They're good for different things. I would say just sort of learn the vibe of what your party's looking. This is I structure this build more so in getting a goal as fast as possible. But I'd say if you wanted to get Cleric earlier in the run, really depends on what you want out of it. Cure Wounds uses an action, but it heals more and it's by touch. So you have to be close to someone, and you can heal up to a d8 plus your Wisdom modifier. Of course, this scales up, especially because at this point you can do 5th level. Okay, music stopped. I got really scared there. You can do a 5th level Cure Wounds, which is be a 5d8 plus 3, pretty potent. Or you can use Healing Word, which is a bonus action, and you can heal someone at a distance with just your words. It's pretty good, especially if you wanted to do something else in your action. So you had that Shadow Blade up, or maybe you needed to do something as a part of an action. It adds some flexibility, and it gives you some range so you don't have to go into a danger zone, possibly. It's a good spell to also just have someone get up from being unconscious. Both of them are good, but they're good for different things. I'll be right back. Just have to charge my side mirror with some arcane voltage. Zap. Alright. Let's see, what other cleric spells would I recommend for first level? Now, for again, our goal, we're looking mostly for healing. Shield of Faith could also be really good. Shield of Faith is basically bonus action, and you can give someone a +2 AC. I think is it concentration? It is. Actually, because of that, we have a lot of concentration spells as a wizard. I would not recommend Shield of Faith. Unfortunately, Shield of Faith is a good defensive spell, but if it's going to be using concentration, we're more of a wizard than we are a cleric right now. It's probably wiser to invest more in the healing. I would say if you want to be offensive, get more of the fairy type radiant damage vibes, go for Guiding Bolt. Guiding Bolt is a really, really powerful first level spell, where essentially you attempt to smite someone with the light of God. You get to throw a radiant bolt of rainbow energy at someone, and if you hit, you deal 4d6 radiant damage, which for a first level spell is really powerful. It's up there with Catapult and Chromatic Orb with the highest damage dealing first level spells. Additionally, if it hits, the next person to attack it has advantage, which is always good. Something you can never go wrong with. Cleric 2. Alright, at level 2 we get our Channel Divinity, which is a Balm of Peace. Starting at 2nd level, you can Channel Divinity, which is basically, we get 2 channel divinities. So, here, why don't we just put channel divinity here? Let me double check how many channel divinities you actually get. So channel divinity is sort of like, you channeling the power of God and going like, yo God, lend me your power! And God lends you your power and you do like sort of a cool super move, right? Let me double check the exact vibe check of channel divinity. So, yeah, let's see how many you get. So, do you just get 1? Okay, so yeah, at first we get a 1 channel divinity, so it's our sort of big move. And we always have 2 options for channel divinity. We can turn the undead, where basically if there is any undead around us within 30 feet, we can use holy magic to horrify them that, you know, they're essentially going to face the judgment of God one day. And they have to make a wisdom saving throw or book it the fuck out of there as fast as they can. Which is pretty nice. Oh shit, what's Harness Divine Power? At second level, you could expand your divine channel divinity to fuel your spells. As a bonus action, you touch your holy symbol and on a prayer and gain 1 extended spell slot. The level can be no higher than half your proficiency bonus rounded up. The number of times you can use this feature is based on your level. Okay. So we could also use the channel divinity to get a spell slot back. What's it called? Divine Power. Okay, cool. And Balm of Peace? Yes. So let's see what Balm of Peace does. At second level, you can channel divinity to make your very presence a soothing balm. That's right, it's like a lip balm. As an action, you can move up to your speed without provoking opportunity of attack. So that means you can move around and no one's going to hit you. When you move within 5 feet of another creature during this action, you can use restore a number of hit points equal to 2d6 plus your wisdom modifier, minimum 1. A creature can receive this healing once when you take this action. Oh, so you can walk by several people and give them some healing, just sort of refresh them a little bit, which is pretty nice. That's nice. And that's pretty much it for second level here. We're going to level 3 and we're going... That's right, it's Clarin time. Cleric level. Now we get second level spells. Immediately we're going to get Aid, which will give plus 5 hit points to anyone we target with the spell, but I think it can target up to 3 people. Alright. Yep, targets up to 3 creatures, and higher up you cast a spell, the more amount of creatures you can target, and you get an extra 5 hit points. So it's really good to upcast. It adds to your max HP, so this allows sort of the overhealing. And also, what was the other spell? Ooh, Warding Bond. Warding Bond is a personal favorite of mine, because this here is what I thought of when I wanted ride or die spells. So basically, you give people a platinum ring, a matching platinum ring. So you get like, you can either flavors like friendship bracelets or like a wedding ring or whatever. You get sort of a matching jewelry, and for the next hour, as long as you're within 60 feet of each other, you get the following benefits. As long as you're within 60 feet, target you give the ring gets +1 to their AC in all saving throws, so they get a bit more tanky, and they have resistance to all damage. However, you take the other half of the damage. That's right. Gardevoir may have become a fella of God, but that does not mean they're stopping their like Atlas-like burden, especially with their mostly wizard hit dice. The spell ends if you drop to 0, or if the target becomes separated more than 60 feet. Also ends if one creature, if you cast again, to make another connection. But yeah, basically, I love this spell. I think it's a really cool way to make people a bit tankier. But also, there's like stakes to the spell, and it also, like, when you pull out the ring, it's such a cool component that it really feels like, I don't know, it always feels special when someone's about to cast Warding Bond to me. I always think it's cool, and I think it's great that we have this high risk, high reward, like, spell for defense here. And it's okay, we're gonna get a bit more tankier with D8s instead of D6s, so it's cool, we're fine. Alright, so let's look at some cleric spells I would recommend for 2nd level under the purview of Gardevoir. Gardevoir? Calm Emotions is a good one. I feel like it's very Gardevoir. Calm Emotions is essentially you, I believe, is it an area effect or is it a target? Yeah, so basically you pick a 20-foot radius. Every humanoid within it has to make a charisma saving throw or fail it willingly. If they do so, everyone chills the fuck out, and anyone who is charmed or frightened is suspended as long as the spell lasts. So that could be up for a minute. So yeah, it can also end a creature being hostile for you and open up negotiations. It's a pretty good spell. It's a cool spell that I think only clerics and bards get. So it's a good way to sorta, if you want to talk things out. It's probably one of the best spells to allow you to do that. Additionally, Luster Restoration is always a good spell to have prepared. Luster Restoration basically is sort of like your full restore move. Not your full restore, your sort of full heal move. It cures most status conditions, and yeah, it's a great spell to always have. It basically is sort of your cure-all spell. So I would really highly recommend that for like any cleric to have on standby. I think it also takes care of charms and friend condition, the works. And yeah, those would be my top 2 recommendations, especially because we have some other spells that we picked up from Wizard. Now we get to Cleric 4. Oh no! Undo, can we go back? Alright, fine, I'll get rid of you. Paste. Alright, so now we got another ability score improvement. Let's see how we're doing. So, probably be wise to get that wisdom up a little more. So I think we're gonna get that to 18. Actually, hear me out. Hear me out. We round up the intelligence, because right now we're more wizard than we are cleric right now. Buff up the intelligence. We're becoming a bit more of a diplomat with having a lot of charisma skills and using stuff like calm emotions. I think we pick up a bit more charisma here. I know it's a bit of a wild move, maybe not be as optimal, but also we get 2 stats up for the price of 1. So it's pretty solid. We'll probably go to wisdom next, probably have them both at 4. Get to cleric 5. Ooh, what happened here? So now we get access to third level spells. So we're gonna get 2 spells automatically. We're gonna be getting Sending, which is just a good spell to have communication with. Sending basically allows you to talk to anyone at any distance through a 25-word message. Essentially, a good way to think about it is you get to tweet to anyone, and they have to listen to you, and maybe they can tweet you back if they feel like it. Even if they're another plane of existence, they only have a 5% chance not to get your interdimensional tweet. So just keep that in mind. They will more likely hear you than not. And here we have the other spell we'll get is Beacon of Hope. Beacon of Hope is a pretty cool setup spell, but only really works if you have other healers in the party. Essentially what Beacon of Hope does is you create a radius of light that I believe is 30 feet centered upon yourself. For the duration, every creature in that area has advantage on death saving throws and wisdom saving throws, which is good. Never can go wrong. And any healing that is done within the radius is maximum. So, good way to... I'd say this is a good support spell for other healers, because, let me tell you, again, it bothers me a lot. Clerics are more than just the healers, so if you have, say, a druid or bard in the party, maybe even an artificer, this is a good way to let other people shine as healers and let you do some other things in the background too, especially because it's going to be an action. It's not going to be bonus action, so you can't do this and heal. But let's look at some level 5 spells I would recommend to pick up. Hey KB! Not much, we're making Gardevoir into D&D. I'll give you the overview. So with Gardevoir, our goals have been to see into the future a little bit, heal and protect others while also being ride or die, because Gardevoir is a lot more likely to be a martyr than have a nice, comfortable life with folks. We also need to make a black hole, because Gardevoir can do that and is recorded in several events. We decided to be an elf for Gardevoir due to the fact that she is fairy type, and it sort of fits them a bit better than fairy or gnome. We made him high elf to get that sort of magical sort of connection. We also found out that they have sword training because of their brother Galen, which I think is cute. They're noble because, of course, elves are always rich. Imagine an elf being poor. You can't. They've monopolized the market over centuries and generations of economic control. It is a horrible problem. The elven upper class is a conspiracy. This is our current stats right now. Very strong mentally. We start off as wizard, getting some more support and utility spells with protecting good and evil, detect magic, identify, silvery barbs to be a bit more defensive, and having Witch Bolt as our sort of main offensive spell due to the fact that Gardevoir has a tendency to learn lightning spells. Well, I say that because I'm going to be playing an elf in Lost Cathedral campaign soon. Oh, cool. And in that setting, it's kind of breaking of magic has made elves kind of broken. Yeah, I bet. I will say, I do think I may not be a big fan of playing Pathfinder, but I was able to get my hands on the Pathfinder 2 playbook, and I love the lore in that book. The lore of that setting is so cool, and I'd love to steal it. But I do love one thing they really emphasize with the elves in the Pathfinder 2 setting is that they're on a downswing from their empire. Like, they peaked. They're done. They're like fucking Britain, where it's like they peaked decades ago, like almost a century ago, and now they're sort of on that downswing. They have a demon problem. It's like going to shit. So like they don't really have as much hubris. It's just a lot of like trying to keep the pieces together. I don't know. I like it. But yeah, in doing so, we picked up the School of Graviturgy so we can mess around with the idea of a black hole. In doing so, we learned how to just gravity and, you know, get some magic missile. We learned how to make, we learned how to sort of see into the future a little bit and make objects immovable, you know, for funny little pranks. We got Fade Touch to sort of get teleport and also to give people a bit of advantage in our party to get the jump on folks. Additionally, we got our first healing option with Wither and Bloom, do some damage and heal some other people. We also got our big Healy for our wizard, the life transference, really being that martyr life and getting that lightning bolt because they can get Thunderbolt, and if you play Gen 3, that's like your best option other than Psychic. We learned some more gravity powers, and at level 7 we finally learned how to make a black hole with Gravity Sinkhole, because basically fireball-sized black hole appears, sucks everyone in, dealing 5d10 force damage. Good shit. Probably the most accurate version to Gardevoir's black hole. We just sort of rounded this out to give us, at level 8 with Wizard, to sort of soften us up. Not soften us, warm us up for Cleric, to get Wisdom, give people some good intellect defenses, and also we got Shadowblade because we really like the idea of Gardevoir and Gallade just having a good sword fight with each other and fighting alongside each other. We then went into the Peace Domain because we used the power of friendship in this church, and we've been getting some good support abilities. With these spells, these are more recommendations for just cleric builds, especially this one that I think fit Gardevoir vibes. So yeah. So yeah, we just got to level 5. So we have Sending and Beacon of Hope, and we're just looking at spells I would recommend for level 5 for Gardevoir specifically. So we could always get Life Transference again. I would say remove Curse, always a good one to have here. This is why I was thinking it'd be better for us as Cleric, so it could be a lot more flexible. We get it when we need it instead of, you know, spend money for it. Another one I would recommend would be perhaps what was I looking at? Bum, 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 bum. What was I looking at? Oh, Revivify. Revivify is always a good spell to have. Revivify is basically your don't die spell. It will allow you to use some cool diamonds you found and essentially do the defibrillator clear thing and have someone come back to life as long as they've died within a minute. Of course, there are some spells that can prolong that, but that's good for if someone just dies and you can just get them back in real quick. Not great for someone who's been dead for a hot minute, but really good if someone's freshly dead. Those are just some good general spells I would recommend. A lot of the other level 3 spells here are a bit more situational. Say like Daylight, that one's really depends if you're dealing with a lot of magical darkness in your game. You know, Mass Healing Word is always good. That's great, but it's also healing. Anyone could get good at healing. Protection from Energy is really for dealing with more, if you're going into more elemental threats. A lot of these are more situational. It really depends on what you're going into and what you're looking for. That's why I went for some of the more simple spells I would recommend any cleric to get. So there you go. So let me just reality check myself on what level we're at. So we have 8 levels of wizard. We're 6th level cleric right now. Oh fuck, should we get another cantrip? I think we should have got. Wait, do we get cantrip? I don't know if we get cantrips at multi-class. I'm a mess. I think we do. I'll find that out when I make the character sheet. This is why I make character sheets after the fact. so I can polish everything after working for 3 hours straight trying to make a funny character. So we are 8, 6. We're about level 14 at this point. Okay. At level 6, we get Protective Bond. Beginning at level 6, the bond you forge between between people help protect others. When you create an affected by emboldening bond feature, anyone who's about to take damage in your bond, a second bonded creature within 30 feet can use a reaction to teleport to an unoccupied space and take the hit for someone else. So this is really good if, say, you want to be a martyr, or if you have a tankier party member who can get a hit a lot better than someone else. This could be you using teleport to make someone go first, or again, you being a martyr and pulling a Piccolo and being like, no, I'll take the hit. That's my Piccolo impression. I have seen no episodes of Dragon Ball Z, so I think it was pretty accurate. Base, which is level 7 cleric. Alright, at this point we get some more spells. Alright, at this point we get we get the hamster ball spell. If anyone was here for Shijinja's video, Otoluk's irresistible resilient sphere is basically you put someone to either yourself or someone else into a magical hamster ball, and in the hamster ball, nothing can get in and nothing can get out. You can never take damage from anything outside of it, and you can't deal any damage to anything inside. Instead, you get trapped in hamster ball. I shake you in the hamster ball. If you want to move, you have to use half your movement to roll around because God, it's a heavy ball of force. Pretty good if you want to keep someone safe. Hamster ball, and we get Aura Purity, which is a spell I'm not super familiar with. So it's an aura 30 feet. The aura moves with you. Each non-hostile creature in the aura, including you, can't become diseased, has resistance to poison damage, and has advantage on all saving throws against effects that cause any of the following conditions: blindness, charmed, deafened, frightened, paralysis, poisoned, and stunned. Okay, so that's a good, like, general aura that's gonna keep people having resistances to a lot of status conditions. Alright, cool. And poison damage. I guess that could be really cool if you're fighting Green Dragon. So let's look at some cleric spells I would recommend for forethought. When you get to it, spells you want to prepare. I would say here, main one I'm seeing is probably Death Ward. Death Ward is a pretty simple spell. Basically, yeah, Death Ward's always good. So Death Ward is basically a spell you can put on someone, and when they would normally go to 0 hit points, you can just go, no they don't. So you apply it, and for the next 8 hours, they basically have a get out death free card. I know, for me, one of the hypest moments in a 2-year campaign that I played with my Necromancer, we're fighting our final boss, which is like this shadow dragon, this witch who turned into like a shadow dragon, you know, things that you encounter when you're dealing with like Hag Illuminati. And she hates elves, and our elf monk is trying to stop her from like essentially committing elf genocide. And as such, she tries to do like the breath weapon as she's very low on health. We are just going in, getting that damage. And our artificer, who, mind you, we're level 14. We're a very high level, and he just got 4th level spells. He applied Death Ward on her because we have a barbarian, which is very tanky, but probably never gonna get a half. That's just the facts. That's just how a high level barbarian is. And the rest of us are more distanced, So we gave it to the more martial characters, probably going to be taking a lot more damage. And what should have killed them with a Shadow Dragon's Breath weapon, they didn't die because we remembered Death Ward. And what would have happened if they died is that they would immediately become a shadow, which is just a form of undeath where it's like a spooky little ghost that saps strength. They're pretty nasty mechanically, but that would mean no means to resurrect them. But because they had the Death Ward, they remained up, and the next turn, they just beat the shit out of the dragon, leading into like the final cutscene of how we all take out the big bad. And it's probably one of the most clutch moments that we've had in the entire game. So I would always recommend Death Ward. That one I think would be the one I would recommend for Gardevoir flavor. Everything else, very situational. Like, banishment's good, but it really depends if you want to banish things to other planes, if you're dealing with that problem. Freedom of movement, again, if you're seeing that there's like any kind of difficult terrain probably coming up, or maybe a boss that you know that might restrain people. It's very situational. A lot of the cleric spells are situational, so it's a big shrug in the air, but Death Ward's the one I would always recommend to have. Now we're going to go to Cleric level 8. We're going to get Improved Cantrip. Grip, which basically allows us to add Wisdom modifiers to, I think, specifically get any Cleric Cantrip. So we should get Cleric Cantrips, but that's something, because I'm tired, I'm going to be doing that when I'm making the character sheet. And if you ever want to see the character sheet, don't worry. I'll slide something really subtle to you. What's this? What? If you want to see the character sheet when it's done, you can go to my Discord and get updates on it. What? That's crazy. I have a cleric player that always forgets to cast Death Ward. The parrot, but they never cast it. Oh, ain't that the fucking life of a caster, though. I feel that in my bones. Ugh. Alright. So, we got improved cantrips, so we add wisdom modifier to any cantrips that we'll get when I make the character sheet. Because I'm tired, and I want this done sooner rather than later. Alright, so yeah, so let's look at our abilities right now. I want our intelligence and wisdom to probably cap out on 4. I don't really know if we want... Yeah, let's catch up our wisdom. Get that to 4 too. Pretty simple. We're not going to go that crazy. Now at this point, I got to ask myself, do I want to invest more into wizard or more into cleric? Because right now, we got a decent amount of cleric stuff. Really, I just wanted Warding Bond, and the rest of this has kind of been a bonus. Like, I don't know if I want Greater Restoration's neat, and Raised Telepathic Bond's also really cool, but I don't know if I want those in particular, right? I don't know if I want to invest, like, I would just be an O level, and I could get them. Let's suppose when I get a 5th level cleric, that wouldn't. Let's see. I don't really think a lot of these spells are super Gardevoir vibes. So I think I may want to go more into Wizard. So we're not gonna super capstone cleric. Probably gonna go more into Wizard, just to get more spell variety. And also we get 5th level wizard spell, 5th level wizard spell, and more arcane tradition. So let's look at, so yeah, I think we're gonna go for wizard level 9. To be fair, that player it isn't as easy as just cast it every morning in campaigns. As long rests aren't guaranteed each night, and they're on the road. Yeah, and also, they may not always expect that they're gonna be, like, in a near-death encounter. Because, like, Death Ward's usually something you cast when, like, you expect you're gonna fucking get got. You know, it's not always a spell where it's like, oh gosh, oh jeez. You know, Alfric, I think we're really gonna get busted today. What do you mean? This is the day of travel. We may encounter some wolves. That may be a minor encounter the DM rolls on the D100 table. But like, what if they roll 100 and a T-Rex shows up? Then you would never survive. All right, so let's look at the wizard. What wizard spell would we get at level? What level 5 spell do we want to pick up? I scrolled too deep. I'm in the whimsy zone. All right. Big Goose Hand's always funny. That's a funny spell. Don't know if I'd pick it for us. Ooh, Dawn could be cool because we got some radiant vibes. The light of dawn shines down a location you specify within range, which could be up to 60 feet. So the spell ends, 30-foot radius, is in 40-foot high cylinder, bright light glimmers there. The light is sunlight. When the cylinder appears, each creature must make a Constitution saving throw, take 4d10 radiant damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. Each creature must make a saving throw on each of its turns in the cylinder. If you're within 60 feet of it, if you're within 60 feet of the cylinder, you can move it up to 60 feet as a bonus action in your turn. Alright, cool. I think that's pretty Gardevoir for, like, because Gardevoir has a lot of light-based attacks with a lot of the fairy moves. I feel like it's a closer thing to Moonblast, because, yeah, we didn't get Moonbeam. I'm sorry, I didn't feel like also going to Druid. I've done a triple class before, and I don't think Gardevoir really has enough nature vibes to really justify going into Druid. Even if I went to, like, maybe Star Druid, I just don't think that fits boss. So we could get Dawn. That's a pretty good spell for that. Get some good radiant damage, get some light. Let's see, any other 5th level spell we might want to get. Telekinesis, I mean, can't go wrong with some telekinesis because we have got psychic powers. Ah, no, that's the wrong Dunamancy. That's the wrong Dune. Like Scoob, that's the wrong sci-fi novel of Dune. Yeah, let's get telekinesis. We're psychic type after all. Gardevoir gets all psychic super early in the game. Absolutely go knucking butts with telekinesis. Yeah, Druid doesn't work with them, but I could maybe see Bard build to pick up Moonbeam, but also I don't think it's worth having as a capstone, especially because that means it's triple casting. We don't really have we have decent charisma, but we don't have enough charisma to really justify it for Moonbeam, you know? So, yeah, basically for 10 minutes we have massive psychic energy. And we could either move around creatures like a pinball machine that are up to large, so we can just move around a dragon or a giant if we want to. We have to make an ability check with our spellcasting modifier contested by the creature's strength. If we win, we can move the creature up to 30 feet in any direction, which means, theoretically, we could just lift a giant up and drop him down. We could also just make a dragon just poof, smash to the ground with our sheer telepathic might. Which I think is cool. Even if it's going to be a hard check, you've got a chance. On subsequent rounds, you can use your action to attempt to maintain your telekinetic grip on a creature by repeating the contest. Or you can do this on objects, and you can have up to 1,000 pounds of things flying around and move those up to 30 feet. If it is worn by a creature, you could essentially do a skill contest to do the thing of the Jedis when they just sort of force their lightsaber into their hand. And you will find control on objects with your telekinetic grip, such as manipulating a simple tool or opening a door or container slowly or retrieving an item on an open container without pouring the contents. That's right, your telepathic grip can open pickle jars as well. Truly worth the 5th level spell slot. It's really good, actually. It's very versatile, and it lasts for 10 minutes, so it could be for a hot second. Telekinesis. So I believe we get a new ability for our subclass. Let's figure that out. Yeah, I wouldn't do that with this current build. Just saying, I would have seen a bard-based build instead of wizard. Yeah, I mostly went to wizard so we could just have a black hole. And also, I don't really think Gardevoir is really bardy. Oddly enough, like, yeah, they get disarming voice, which could be vicious mockery, but even then, you can pick that up with a feat instead. But I don't know, I don't really see Gardevoir as a skill monkey. Like, Gardevoir is really good at one thing, and that's blasting. Like, in-game, Gardevoir's really there to just blast things with Psychic. And lore-wise, it's really here to support people, and I kinda like it being more high-risk, high-reward type support. A little bit on Orthodox and a bit of Orthodox healing. Also, I've done the healer bard meta. It's not fun. This, I feel, is a lot more of a funkier build. Trust me, that was my first D&D character, and that was the biggest mistake I ever made. Alright, so at 10th level we get Violent Attraction. Man, I bet a lot of people have a violent attraction to Gardevoir. At 10th level, when a creature that you can see within 60 feet of you hits a weapon attack, you can use a reaction to increase the attack's velocity, causing the target to take an extra 1d10 of the weapon's damage type. Alternatively, you can see a creature within 60 feet of you take damage from a fall, and you can use a reaction to reduce the fall by 2d10. You can use a feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum 1. We're getting expended uses on a long rest. So this is a good way for us to buff other people's damage, or maybe do not feather fall. And also we get to look more spells. Forget to dehydrate for that. Let's see. Any other 5th level spells that we're looking at? Ooh, Dream could be good, because I know Gardevoir oftentimes... Yeah, Gardevoir gets like Dream Eater a lot, so Dream would work really well. So Dream can do two things. One, it's a good spell for you to talk to like have a long-term conversation with another like NPC that are long distances, as long as they're also sleeping, and to sort of convey messages, have like a space to talk privately. It's very utility. Or you can ruin someone's life by having them get no rest. You could either just have a dream and either send messages to people or have conversations with people, or you can give people nightmares. If you give people nightmares, they have to make a wisdom saving throw or take 3d6 psychic damage and gain no benefits of a long rest. Like, they just don't sleep for the night. And it's horrible. And that would give them exhaustion. And you can do this multiple times on people, just, you know, freaking them out. Also, fun fact, even if they succeed on the wisdom saving throw, the nightmare just kind of happens. So, theoretically, if you gave someone night paralysis while you just ate grapes for 8 hours straight, they may not take the psychic damage, but they just have to live with that night. And it just kind of happens, and it's probably uncomfortable. And you can just do that. You can just do that. You're gonna ruin a man's night. It's great. Ooh, Wall of Light. I'm genuinely interested in what Wall of Light does. I haven't seen this spell. I haven't looked at it. Because that can sort of fit. Because again, Gardevoir's got a lot of light base, like, being a fairy type is a lot of light motifs. The shimmering wall of bright light appears at a point you can see within range. The wall appears in any orientation you choose, horizontal, vertically, or diagonally. Oh, excuse me. Can be free floating, or it can rest on a solid surface. The wall can be up to 60 feet long, 10 feet high, and 5 feet thick. The wall blocks line of sight, but creatures and objects can pass through it. It emits a bright light 120 feet dim. Oh wow, that's super bright. Jesus. Well, I guess it's Wall of Light. I guess that makes sense. When the wall appears, each creature in the area must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, creature takes 4d10 radiant damage, and it becomes blinded for 1 minute. Oh, it just happens. 1 minute flat. No saving throws. Okay, they can't make the Constitution saving throw at the end of their turn. Makes sense. A creature that ends its turn within the wall's area takes 48 radiant damage. Until the spell ends, you can use an action to launch a beam of radiance up on the wall to one creature you can see within 6 feet. Make a ranged spell attack. It does 48 radiant damage. When you hit or miss, reduce the length of the wall by 10 feet. Oh, that's cool! Yeah, Keith, you just ruin a man's night for a week until you dies from exhaustion. Because hope for lucky night 3 and have them had the really bad time. Also, fun fact, if you have a body part of the person that you're torturing, that you're dealing with the nightmares to, they have disadvantage. That's a fun thing I learned when I looked at Dream recently. But dude, Wall of Light looks cool. I'm gonna pick that up. Let's see, we can get 6 level spells now. Oh shit, I think we got a cantrip. I should pick up a cantrip. Why don't we just get, why don't we get some... Let's see, why don't we just get... We get some minor illusion. I think we get that in level 9. So I'm just gonna put it there. Alright, we get level 6 spells now. Let's see what we get from that. Ray of Ice Beam? No, Gardevoir can't learn Ice Beam. They learn Lightning Bolt. That's why they get Thunderbolt. That's why they get Lightning Bolt and some lightning spells. They don't learn ice spells. They don't learn ice moves. So they can't get Ray of Ice. Let's see. Gravity Fissure. That could be a really good capstone for us. You manifest a ravine of gravitational energy in a line originating from you that's 100 feet long. Oh, it's so cool. It's Gravity Lightning Bolt. Each creature in the line must make a Constitution saving throw or take 8d8 force damage. On a failed save, half as much on a success. Each creature within 10 feet of the line, but not in it, must make the Constitution saving throw or take 8d8 force damage and be pulled towards the area. So cool. Basically, everyone in it has to make it, and if they're next to it, they get pushed aside there to really... Can't it be Bolt Beam? No, Actually, let's see if Gardevoir I think Gardevoir does get Charge Beam. You get Hyper Beam? And we can get... We do get Charge Beam. I don't know how that works. So you're right. They get Icy Wind. But no Ice Beam. Yeah. Yeah, no, Gardevoir's weird. Gardevoir's weird how they mostly, like, out of the Lightning, Fire, and Ice, they mostly get a Lightning affinity. Which is just kind of like a weird, this is kind of like a interesting touch. But yeah, let's get Gravity Fisher. I feel like that's an upgrade to Gravity Sinkhole. Let's see. Auto's Irresistible Dance! No. Let's see. Honestly, I could kind of see Tasha's Otherworldly Eyes. Oh shit! Holy fuck, Tasha's Otherworldly Guise is just a Mega Evolution. Oh, that would be so cool! That would be so cool for Otherworldly Guise was like Mega Evolution. Like, she just picks the Celestial form. So, Tasha's Otherworldly Guise is basically, you're like use a bonus action to transform into, you can literally be, I could be your angel, or I could be your devil. Oh, it'd be really cool if the upper one, if the upper planes form was like regular Gardevoir, and the lower planes one was shiny Mega Gardevoir. That would be so cool. So basically, if you choose the lower planes, you get immunity to fire and poison. If you choose the upper planes, you have immunity to radiant and necrotic damage. You can be either immune to poison or charm. You can fly 40 feet. You get a +2 to your AC. All weapon attacks are magical, and if you make a weapon attack, it uses your spellcasting modifier instead, which is a lot better for you. You can attack twice instead of once, so you basically have extra attack, which is pretty cool. If you want to go knucking fights, and it's great because you're proficient with swords. That's cool. I really like that vibe, actually. And now we're gonna be going to level 12, which is gonna be our capstone. Get double check wizard here. Do we get anything funky at level 12? So level 12. Yep, just an ability score improvement. Let's see, do we want to get a feat, or do we want to get an ability score improvement real quick? Do we want to max out one of our stats, or do we want... Excuse me, or do we want something else? So, let's see. Because at this point, we don't really need telepathic or telekinetic. Tough could be good, but I don't think Gardevoir really has a lot of hit points to justify. Gardevoir's not really tanky. If Gardevoir was like... If it was like, Hatterene, that would make more sense, because Hatterene's got, like, a lot of HP. Yeah, no, our HP is actually one of our weaker parts. Oh, we probably have to make the con weaker. Oh well. Oh well, it's okay to have the wizard not have low con this time. We're not Shedinja. Let's see. Yeah, let's look at our stats and see what we want to increase, because I'm not really feeling any feet. You know, I feel like we're going a lot more towards wizard. We've gone a lot more of what we've learned. So I think we're gonna max out intelligence as our capstone. And let's see what the last spells we want to get. Let's see, is there any other 6 level we want? Now I know it's Sunbeam. By no, I think Sunbeam would be a really good Moonblast adjacent, because I do kind of like, well, no, I think Moonblast to be a lot more like a Fireballs, but like with radiant damage. Let's see, what 5th level spells could we get, maybe? You know what? Why don't we just get Psychic Spear? Psychic Spear is essentially a spell. It's good. It's just a good psychic move, where we can just say someone's name and a spear will just go towards them. They have to make an intelligence saving throw. If they fail, take 76 psychic damage and become incapacitated at the start of your next turn. If they succeed, they just take half the psychic damage. So, pretty solid damage, and you can just knock someone out for a turn. And then also, we can just get our other spell. We can get that to be... it's 4th level. And Sickening Radiance is our other. Just to have that big radiant energy, where we can just blast a real nasty vibe towards people, and if they're in the nasty zone, they had to make a Constitution saving throw. If they fail, take 4d10 radiant damage and get exhaustion, which is always great, especially because you can blast it. It lasts up to 10 minutes, get pretty brutal. No, I don't really think Sickening Radiance is Gardevoir vibes. I don't think Gardevoir is that malevolent. You know, why not just summon Fae? You know, just get a little Fae pal. Basically, this Fae could do a variety of things. They could sort of teleport around, get advantage on their next attack, create little mad pockets of darkness. Yeah, you could just summon a little Ralts. So I'll be honest, I'm tired, but I'm gonna try and do the whole overview now. So here's Gardevoir. Gardevoir started out as a noble in the house of Voir, Gardevoir. She was raised with her brother Galade, and they did some fun things like, you know, train with wooden swords and everything. And one day Galade wanted to go out and adventure, and Gardevoir was like, cool, you're my brother, I'll ride or die with you, let's go. So while he was studying the blade, Gardevoir decided to learn how to work with the more mystical arts, as it were, to make sure that her brother would not get too reckless. In doing so, she learned ways to protect him by bending luck and messing with the minds of people real quick, giving them bolts of electricity to stun them or blind them quickly with radiant light. She would also help him to learn what exactly are these blades he would find on his journey. After all, it'd be a shame if he found something that was like super cursed, though. In Gardevoir's studies, they were very fascinated with the idea of manipulating the strange force that seems to press down along the world, and how when applying to this force, people would be unable to move and get a bit more control, give a nice target for her brother to work with. When she had found ways to make objects seem impossible to move for the everyman, and sometimes while distracting others with this impossible task, she had also learned a trick to sort of predict the future, in a way, with little rituals. As Gardevoir became more and more in touch with their arcane power, they realized that one reason why her family is of nobility is due to an old Archfey lineage. You know, some long ancient ancestors. And with being exposed to more magic, awakened this essence of new Fey magic that gave them sort of an extra boost in their combat abilities, allowing them to sort of do brief teleportation around the field with ease before having to exert more energy, giving people sort of an awareness of the future to give them a head start for what they're going for. Additionally, this is the first time that Gardevoir had learned, almost from this innate power of the Fae and learning their lineage, how to both damage and to heal. This idea that life can be recycled in a way. It fascinated her just a little bit. And she would use it to take life from the enemies and give it to aid her brother as they went on their quest for justice and the like. When studying further, Gardevoir learned about life transference, and this is the part where Galade got very fucking concerned about Gardevoir getting some very near-death experiences. Learning more about this magic of gravité. Gardevoir had learned how to manipulate people's positions when casting, sort of put heavy emphasis towards the casting spot to force people to move in certain locations, whether closer or farther from the spell's casting. Additionally, she learned how to track people down when they attempted to escape, as well as to scout even through far distances. However, at this point, Gardevoir had learned probably the spell that is almost considered her signature, the Gravity Sinkhole. This would be documented through several accounts from anyone who talks about Gardevoir, is her during a great battle against a horde of goblin tyrants. Gardevoir had conjured this sinkhole to just erase this horde of goblins coming towards them, being more devastating than any fireball, because unlike a fireball that leaves a trace of destruction, it was simply there, darkness arised, a smack was heard, and then there was nothing, not a trace. Everything was almost as if it were crushed. And Gardevoir would pull this power to any of those who seemed like genuine threats. That was when you knew you got Gardevoir's attention. At this point, Gardevoir had learned the ways of the blade along with her brother, and would occasionally summon what she called the Shadow Blade, a blade that is only the shadow of her brother's. And occasionally they would have dual people alongside each other. But after the Great Goblin warfare, Gardevoir realized that they are frail, and they use a lot of their power to try and help others. And in doing so, maybe investing in a little faith would help them do it in a much more, maybe in a way where they can do it without destroying themselves. Maybe this sense of faith will get them through, as well as the people she wants to save. In doing so, she learns how to entertain the masses a bit more, keep people at peace, and use this power of friendship she has been forming with her companions to enhance each other's power, and having this sense of faith and trying to push beyond their limits when trying to go deeper into the idea that, more investing less in knowledge, but more in faith of her friends that they will make it through. Not through calculated maneuvers, but through just hope. Through hope and idealism, she had learned how to turn the undead away from her, to channel more to get divine power, to channel not only her arcane powers, but to give her more of this new faith, and also to heal people in a trail, to heal people with ease, gracefully moving aside, getting a training that she had not used since she was a child with ballet. As she entered a new circle of power with her faith, she had developed a technique called the Warding Bond. This bond, though similar to her older methods and wizardry, would allow her to truly fight with others, to take a blunt of the damage, but to make people more likely to be unscathed. This is probably where some of the most harrowing battles of Gardevoir's legend happens, when Gardevoir would nearly faint or even die to help others succeed and take significantly more hits than they ever would, all because she believed in them. With this sense of faith increased, Gardevoir unleashed a beacon of hope, allowing other healers to heal far beyond their limits and people to refuse death. This was her way of keeping people together. She was a symbol not only as a fighter, as a piece on a chessboard, but now she was here to keep these people together. In doing so, it wasn't just her taking the hits now with the life transference or Wither and Bloom or the Warding Bond. Now everyone was taking a share of some burden. It wasn't just Gardevoir fighting not to be a martyr. It's everyone trying to take care of each other and everyone willing to protect one another from the hits. It wasn't just Gardevoir anymore. Gardevoir had learned how to protect others in a peculiar ball, as well as to trap those who are more dangerous in one. But this one was both impressive and amusing. However, after a journey of faith, Gardevoir felt like they were content with this and felt that going more into their studies would aid them with more harrowing tasks they would go after. After all, going from a regional goblin problem to perhaps maybe a grand dragon that had terrorized the land deserves a more educated approach. As such, Gardevoir learned the powers to channel the powers of both the sun and the moon to create the bright shimmering sunrise whenever she so desired, causing pillars of light to blast into foes, blinding them, much like how one would drive a car and see the sunrise into their eyes. They also awakened their vast telepathic potential with telekinesis, practically manipulating creatures that are larger than life. They learn how to go through dreams and communicate to people in private and develop this wondrous wall, the Wall of Light, something Gardevoir used to protect her people in their time of most need, not only to protect them from what was in front of them, but also to blast into the enemies to devastate them. After all, best offense, the best defense. When many people thought Gardevoir's signature was the gravity sinkhole, Gardevoir, in their later years, proved they could go a step further and created the gravity fissure, a massive crack of, well, sheer force that would break down onto people in the battlefield and make massive groups of soldiers to slam into each other with sheer force. Was, well, it was true control over the battlefield. And one of the most, I can remember when protecting her kingdom. It was truly her kingdom at this point. Threats beyond the veil had come, and Gardevoir had to use to transcend humanity, even if it was just for a moment, and gain this celestial form, having this almost pure wedding-like dress appearance, going beyond the limits, evolving beyond anyone else could, a mega evolution, and made devils alike gone from the land. From that point on, Gardevoir was just known as not only one of the royal protectors of the land, but also one of the most well-studied. After all, being an elf who lived so long and has dealt with many of conflicts, leaves quite an archive. An archive that is kept within her royal line, and is said to be passed down. Though many of the family of Gardevoir attempt to learn some secrets. Maybe the most they could ever get is the sinkhole. Very few can get beyond that. Some people say it was the faith that made her go beyond the limits. That sense of needing to push forward and embrace her allies was what gave her strength. Others say she was just one of a kind. But I say, I'm really tired and I want to sleep. I got up super early. So yes, I'm gonna be looking at who we could possibly strem or raid to. Yeah, we're gonna raid Boingo. Boingo is doing a snack tier list with a funny little Bun Bun, Dimiter Lupin, who's a real stinker, real cartoon villain bun. So yeah, we're just gonna raid them and see how they're doing in their snackathon. So, till next time, thank you for coming by, whether past, present, or future. I hope you have a nice day or evening, and I hope you have something nice to look back on. Until then, I'll wish you a bye-bye. Hey, if you're still watching this, I hope you get to pet your pet, and if you don't have one, I hope you can get to pet a plushie. If you don't have a plushie, well, I hope you hug your pillow. Alright, good night.